All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We'll go ahead and get started with our webinar. My name is Sean Fatuhi, and I'm also joined by Alina Sheknovsky, our Senior Integration Consultant. As always, we appreciate you taking the time away from your busy schedule to be with us. We certainly know you, with everything going on around the world, you have a lot on your plate. Our intention, as always, is to make sure that this is worthwhile for you. And with that, let's get quickly to what we're going to be covering today. As I've mentioned in the past, since these sessions are, this session is part of a more interconnected set of demos of Jitterbit Harmony, I'll give you a very quick intro for these sessions so you can see what these webinars entail. We will spend majority of our time in the product with help of Alina, and after Alina is done, I'll provide you more information about our upcoming events so that if you see a topic that you're interested in, you could go in and register for them. Finally, we'll spend the last 5 minutes or so to answer any questions you have. If you have any questions, please submit them via the QA button within Zoom. We will address as many of the questions as we can in the last 5 minutes, and if there are additional questions we didn't get a chance to answer, we will go ahead and put them together with our responses as a follow-up email. So before passing it to Alina for her demo, I want to make sure that I cover what these webinars are and what they aren't. For the sake of transparency, these sessions are really meant to be focused on product, free of sales and marketing content. It is meant to be very educational in a very casual manner, no pressure. And everything you see, it's going to be live. There is no smoke and mirror. These sessions are also meant to be very concise and to the point, to be respectful of your time. As you'll see, these webinars are also chained together. We try to incorporate everything we've done and kind of bring it together in one demo. And with that, what we will demonstrate today, here we go, is how Jitterbit B2B allows our customers to create EDI documents. We will also show you how we can consume EDI documents, as well as how we can manage trading partners. The sources and target systems that we will be using are meant to give you context on the process. And of course, your sources and targets may be different. Regardless of the systems, this demo should provide you with a great overview of the core capability as it relates to handling EDI documents. So with that in mind, Alina, I'll pass the webinar to you, and we'll advance the slide to the use case that you'll be using to demonstrate the capabilities.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, here we go. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So as far as the use cases, what we're going to be looking at today, you'll see in the slide here, the source for one of the use cases will be our SAP system, and we're going to be getting the information out of SAP, the orders and the product line items, and converting that or doing the transformation and creating an EDI 850 document and posting it to our FTP server. So in the process, what we'll do is we'll show you our SAP connector. We'll talk about that a little bit more, so you'll get familiar how that looks like and how that's being used. And also look at not only successful responses, but we'll look at some warnings that can come as part of the response, and talk about what this is for and how you deal with it. And then our second use case would be now we're doing the inbound, picking up the EDI 850 order from our FTP directory and creating that order in Salesforce. And then also the second operation will be adding products to that order, again, using the EDI 850 purchase order document. So that would be our use case. And let me share my screen now. Okay, so you should all be seeing our Jitterbit Harmony platform. And for those of you who attended our previous webinars, you'll recognize that this is our homepage. So just a quick refresh of what you're seeing here, and for those who have not attended our sessions in the past, we have our Cloud Studio. This is where you would design your operations and create transactions, and this is what we're going to be using today. We also have an API manager. We do have a webinar already recorded, so if you are interested, you can view that on our website. The Citizen Integrator is where you have the recipes, and then the Management Console is your DevOps monitoring. So this is very high level. It's all here in one home screen. So we'll jump right into the demo. So let's go into our Cloud Studio. And the Cloud Studio, here, there are two options. And again, we did have a webinar that is recorded, and you can view it on our connector builder. So the two options here, you can create a project, and you can also create a connector. So Jitterbit comes with a lot of connectors that are already part of the platform. And some of the connectors may not be included with the platform, but we do give you flexibility to build your own connector and add it to your library. So this is what this is for here. So again, you can review the recording. It is on our website. So now that we're in this page, I'm going to jump right into a project right here. And then here you see you have more than one project. It will show up here with the environment, who edited last, who was the one who edited that project, and who deployed it. So I'm going to go right into the project here. And again, just a quick overview of what you're seeing here. It was, again, in one of our webinars where we talk about the overview of the whole platform. But just to kind of do a refresh, and also for those who have not seen the platform before, what you see here on the left, we are in the project. You can create multiple tabs if you need to separate your transactions. And you can move things around here. You also have a list of components. So everything that you're creating here, starting with your endpoints, your sources, targets, operations, you need any scripts, variables, everything is listed here under components. And what you can do is, if you already created an endpoint here and you want to reuse it, you can just simply drag it over in the middle and start building out and adding transformations to it. Here on the right, this is where you will see all of the connectors, including the ones that you, connectors and endpoints, I should say, including the ones that you have built using a connector builder. So like I said, Jitterbit comes with a bunch of connectors already out of the box, and then you can add your own connectors and add them to your library. And then you can filter by connectors, or the endpoints are the ones that we're currently using in this project. And then here in the middle is where, the first one, this is where you would start building. This is a canvas for you to work in and build your operations. Now what you're seeing here is the first use case that we're going to be looking at. And this is where we have the SAP connector that we're using. We're using BAFI. To get the orders out of SAP, and then we are creating an 850 document, EDI document here on the right. So you have your source and you have your target, and then we have the transformation in the middle. So if I go into that transformation, you will see that right here on the left, I have my BAPI object. And here on the right, I do have the EDI 850, and 4010 is the version that that we use here. And just to also mention, with EDI, we do support all document types and all versions, and we also support, well, in this case, you're seeing the X12. We also support HL7 and European Form and EDIFACT, and all others as well. So what you're seeing here is the transformation. I'm just gonna, you see that everything is displayed, but if I want to limit the number of records showing up here, only the ones that I've mapped, you can see that you can do that, especially with EDI documents. They can get pretty large, and if you want to limit your view screen to only those that are mapped, you can do that as well. And it's, again, as we go into it in more details and other webinars, it's just drag and drop. And then you can add formatting and you can add any functions you want if you need to format any of those fields that you're mapping. So I'm going to return here in the workflow. And then the target here, it is an FTP directory. So if I double click on that, you see that we've defined our path and then the name of the file. And then the other thing I want to mention with EDI and on-EDI transformations and operations, the only real difference is that for EDI, in order for that transformation to be successful and take place, you need to have an EDI plugin. And as soon as you have that EDI plugin, and that applies to inbound and outbound, that helps us to create that transformation and generate the 850 or any EDI document for that matter. We have other plugins available. We have the validator for validation and a splitter if it's required to split the file into multiple orders. So before I run this, and again, this could be put on schedule, it could run on schedule, and I'll show you how that is configured. But I just wanted to, since we are creating an EDI document and we're going to be creating it in our FTP server, I just want to make sure that right now in this particular directory, there's nothing there. And for this, just for this demo, I'm going to run this manually. So I'm just going to click on run and deploy. So in this case, the other thing what I wanted to mention with SAP Connector, we do have a webinar coming up. So if you are interested, just keep an eye on it. We're going to be going into more details of how you can connect to SAP and the connector, and that's available out of the box. So you can use BAPI, RFC, or IDOC if you need for that particular, for any of your requirements. We also have, in this case, the second use case, we're touching on Salesforce. So the Salesforce, we also have a connector, and as soon as you connect to your org, all of these objects are available to you. So just wanted to bring that up while this was running. So now we got the success with warning, and this is what we talked about at the beginning. I wanted to do that just to kind of show you how that looks like. So we can either click directly into that, or we can go into and view the logs. And then just wanted to show you how that warning looks like, or if you want to, as you're testing or as you're running these operations. So in this particular scenario, the warning came through is because the schema might have changed. So this is a good example when you're, if you're testing or if you're running it and you get that notification, you can notify whoever needs to know that there's some changes that is required to the schema. The notification can be sent out via email, or you can create a document and post it to an FTP directory. And then when the change is made and the schema is updated, then next time, assuming it runs on schedule, next time it runs, you will pick up the changes, no problem. The other thing, what you notice here is that I created a variable where I am keeping the price. So you will see that price when we start looking later at our Salesforce insert, and just remember that this is also good for testing purposes if you want to capture any of the values that are coming through in order to test and make sure that the data is coming through fine. Okay, so now the other thing I did mention that we have a plugin, and that's the differentiator between EDI and non-EDI transactions. Otherwise, everything is the same. You use the same Cloud Studio, everything. The source and targets can be used for non-EDI or EDI transformations. But the other thing I wanted to mention with EDI, we also have a dashboard that comes with EDI. So in this case, as soon as we ran that operation, we also created a document here in our dashboard. So you see how this information comes directly from SAP and was converted into EDI. So if I click on the view here, you can see that we have the structure of the EDI document. You'll see the name. There is some information that we just looked at, and the pricing is there as well. Now, the dashboard is where you would define your trading partners, and you connect your operation from the Cloud Studio to the definitions here in the dashboard. And as that allowed us to run the operation on schedule or manually, doesn't matter. And for that document to be created in the dashboard. And then the other thing I wanted to show is in our FTP directory, we now have the EDI file. So I'm just going to replace the old one that I have here. And then if I click and view this file, you see that it is the same EDI document that got inserted into the dashboard and the successful transformation from SAP into this format. So this covers our first use case. And our second use case, we have an inbound 850. So we will be using that same FTP location now that we've created that file there. So we have the EDI file in the FTP. The transformation is happening now between EDI, where we have the EDI here on the left, and then we have the Salesforce object here on the right. So instead of the outbound, now we have the inbound that's coming through. And the other thing I wanted to mention that in here we're doing it in two operations. So with Salesforce, you first have to create an order, and then when the order is created, then you're adding a product to it. And just to kind of again a quick refresher. There are a few things that you can do with the settings here. So one is you can put it on schedule. So if you need to create a schedule and run it on a certain schedule, this is where you do it, and you can have multiple schedules and assign them to your operations. So it could run daily, weekly, monthly, it can run every minute if you want it to. So that would be one option here. Then we also have, and this is an example of the second use case where we need to have two operations, but they are connected with condition on success. So what this is saying, as soon as the first operation is complete, we're going to run the second operation. And this is the operation that's listed here. The other options, you can have the timeout setup, you can have chunking. So if you want to enable chunking, if you have large volume coming through, you can do that here as well. And then if looking at the second operation, what I did here as well to just show you different options in our source, because this is going to be the last operation that we're going to be executing. What I did, again, you'll have the source where it's coming from, the name of the file. There are other options here that you can select. You can save it to put it in a success folder or error folder. What we did here, we also decided that as soon as we're done with processing this file, we're just going to rename this file. And we use some of the variables here to create a different name and add to that file name, date, and time. And then we'll see how that looks like in our FTP directory as soon as we're finished running that file. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and run this file. Well, you can just run it. I kept opening it. And while this is running, there's currently nothing here in Salesforce. So as soon as this is complete, we'll come back and check to see if the order was created, and also if the product was added to that order. But the flow here is you pick up the file from FTP, and this is our EDI file, do transformation, use the Salesforce connector because we've configured it and we connected directly to Salesforce, to your org. You now have all of these objects preloaded. So as soon as you log in, everything you have there, including your custom objects, will be preloaded as well. So now let's go and refresh here. Now see if the order was created. Now we have our EDI order created here. And then we have a product as well that was added to that order. So if you click here, you can see that there, the unit price that we saw that came back in that first operation that we ran. So everything looks good here. And if, let's say, go back to our operation, and then again, click on the logs here. This is where you see we got success with info. We got everything ran successfully. So everything looks good here. So now if you, again, just to remind you, we did use our SAP connector in our first operation. And as I said, there's a webinar coming up. If you're interested, keep an eye on it. With Salesforce in our second use case, we again used the Salesforce connector. And we do have a webinar coming up on Salesforce. Again, keep an eye on the schedule. Sean will talk more about it, but that will include the workflows and outbound messaging. So that would be very useful, I think, for everyone to see as well. And with that, I believe this is everything that we wanted to cover as far as the EDI on B2B offering that we have in Jitterbit. And if you have any questions, please feel free to post them for us. John?
Thank you very much, Alina. Thank you very much. Let's see, let me go back to my screen. If you could just, there you go. Hopefully you can see the screen. So appreciate it, great demo. We are looking to you to provide us feedback on how to improve some of these sessions and also talk about the topics that are interesting to you. I'm actually gonna go ahead and on our chat, I'm gonna provide you a link for the feedback. So if you could just do us a favor and go ahead and let's see. I'm gonna put it on the interesting. Sorry about that. I'm trying to find a way for me to send it to you via chat. So I just sent you a link to our feedback link. It takes 1 to 2 minutes. At the end, if you're interested, we'll send you a Bluetooth Jitterbit speaker as well. August, in terms of what's coming up, we have real-time integration with Salesforce, as Alina mentioned, with outbound, setting up outbound messages to do real-time. September 2nd, we'll be doing another process template, which is employee onboarding. That would be followed by a SAP integration in minutes. So if you're interested in if SAP is in one of those systems that you interact with, what Alina showed you, we'll actually build it from scratch in that session. So look out for that. The other thing I'm gonna send to you, just in case you are interested in viewing some of our recordings, I also sent you a link to the previously recorded session, but it will also have links to sign up for the upcoming ones. Now, the one for September 9th has not been posted. That will get posted later today, but that's a page you want to bookmark if you are interested to join these sessions. So with that said, let me, I wrote down, as Alina, as you were doing the demo, I wrote down some of the questions that came across. I'll try to get those as well as any questions that come up after the fact. So let's see. The first question comes from JP. We are a current customer and use Jitterbit Design/Desktop Studio. Can we use that for EDI? I'll give you the short answer. The answer is yes. The same plugin that Alina showed could be applied to our desktop or design studio if you are designing your integration, not using a browser, but a thick client. Anything to add to that, Alina?
No, you got it. I would just say that this is just a plugin. You don't need to use any separate tool or anything like that. It's all done the same way. The sources, targets, everything defined in the same way. And the only thing you would need is that make sure that the plugin is applied. And that could be done in Design Studio. And so far you've seen the Cloud Studio, but if you're an existing customer, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, just for a sake of clarity, just for those who don't know what Design Studio is, you could do all the things that you've seen through a browser. You could do it in a thick client. So if that's what you're comfortable with, that's a tool that's available to you. Just want to clarify that. Next question coming from JL. You showed us the splitter plugin. What does that do? Alina, I'm gonna send that to you.
Sure. So with the splitter plugin, that is very helpful if you have a customer who sends you a document with, let's say, 100 orders. So what that splitter plugin will do, it will split those orders, and that way they will be processed separately and as a separate document. So a lot of customers find it very useful, and that we hear a lot of good things about that plugin. So that's what it does.
Yeah, and I think that will also help, like if one of the documents, there's some issues with it, you don't want the process be affected by that one document, so you could process them separately, even though it's coming from one document. So great question on that one. Next question comes from HT. Again, these are initials for the person who asked it. Can you add notifications to a workflow as soon as the document is picked up or processed? You can, I think we've seen some of that notification via email or with communication tools such as Slack or SMS. You could absolutely build that into your flow for sure. I think that covers it. I'm trying to make sure we get to all the questions before we end at bottom of the hour. Next question comes from MK. Is EDI a free feature or an add-on? EDI is an add-on to our platform. Not all our customers have EDI, but in order to have EDI, obviously you need the platform. If you're interested in the pricing, we could, let us know. There's an email at the bottom on the screen. It says techwebinars@jitterbit.com. Send it to our technical team, and we'll make sure that we get the appropriate response to you from a packaging standpoint. LJ, we are a partner and we see a lot of NetSuite customers. You showed SAP. Can this easily be modified to pull info from NetSuite? The answer is yes. We had to pick something. We had to pick an ERP. We are going to be doing a session on NetSuite specifically, so look out for that. It's in the process of being scheduled. But yes, the answer is that we just happened to pick up from SAP. You could take the same project actually and do the same thing with SAP. Obviously, the mappings are going to change because of the structure that SAP provides is different than NetSuite, but at least you don't have to start from ground zero. AC asks, I attended your API webinar where you create an API to insert or query data. Can we expose EDI workflows to accept data from an API or expose data as an API? Absolutely. Anything that we've done, anything that you see in Cloud Studio can be exposed as an API to get the information to a requester of data, and you obviously could build security around it. And you can also accept payloads. Alina, I don't know if there's anything you would add, but certainly you could have an API that posts some data to it, and then we can pick up the data and process it as needed.
That's correct. Yes.
Got it.
It would just be another source or target at that point in the structure of that API.
Got it. I'll take one more, given that we're at the bottom of the hour, is will Jitterbit B2B handle managing trading partners? And I think we've covered that. I don't know if anything, I don't think we went into how we would manage the partner because of time, but I think you, Melina, you might have touched on how within the portal you can manage partners. Anything else to add?
Correct. It's just be done in the dashboard portal that you saw, and that's done. It takes about 5 minutes to configure a trading partner.
Okay. All right. Well, we're at the bottom of the hour. For the sake of making sure we respect your time, we appreciate you joining. And again, let us know what topics you want to see in the upcoming events, and we'll plan accordingly. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you next week.